and not play and practice by repetition, but be creative in what you do at all times, you know. Just search for that, you know. And that's, you know, what we hear in your music, you know. And in your last appearance in the National Gallery, it was, for me, it was, I mean, it brought me to tears, because to see you in front of, first of all, you are so gracious and warm and embracing to your audience.
Thank you so much.
And then you take that violin, and I mean, not 1 year went by, you know, you play the same way you played probably when you were 15. How is that possible? How many people reach at this stage of life and they take the violin and it feels as natural as a conversation? This is what we feel when you take the violin. And that's why everybody is moved, and you do not hear that today.
You know, I don't know how to answer that. I'm not particularly religious, but I believe in a certain power that we are given when we are born, and maybe there is a lot more to it than we know. Life will always be a mystery, unsolved mystery, life and the demise of it. So I don't know how to answer that, but I think that we are born with a gift, each one of us in a different way, doing different things, which cannot be explained, and it comes from maybe heaven or from God.
Do you find sometimes that you play a concert, and of course when you're playing, when you're in the act of playing and producing this concert, you are totally involved in what you are doing, but then do you find that sometimes you take a step back and you look at the performance and you say, oh my God, I didn't realize I did that? Or you are astonished at what you have achieved and not knowing how?
I would interpret it differently. I would say, oh my God, I didn't know it sounded like that. Because to be totally frank, I'm aware of every draw of the bow that I make. Everything is done consciously, not subconsciously. Maybe people don't realize it because they think it's so spontaneous. In a sense it is. The playing is spontaneous, but I think it over what I'm doing with the help of the composer. So as I always say, my greatest respect is for the composer, and I'm trying to fit everything into it. But I listen to myself, which is, as I already said, the greatest feat, to listen and hear what you are doing and whether it really fits the composition. But as I said before, I study that music, I'm looking at the score, and that's all we can do. What more can we do than to respect the score and the composition to the best of our ability?
Going back now to the program that you played and that is going to be released is really being released in this DVD. When you decided to do the Schumann Sonata and the Enescu Sonata, and you had your date with the score, how did you feel when you reapproached that repertoire?
Like a newborn, as if I had never played it before. It's the road of discovery every single time. Yesterday, I discovered new things in the score, which I missed yesterday. This is why I keep repeating, who were these geniuses that were constantly learning from them? But this is the excitement about it. The actual rediscovery of everything that you had done before, and never ending supply of inspiration and information. And that's what is so fascinating for me. The composer and the composition never ends.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you feel about Schumann? How do you feel about this masterpiece that you performed?
Yes, I can. I played Schumann years and years ago and enjoyed it very much. Then I left it. All of a sudden comes a young man who plays the piano a lot better than many. Actually, really a fantastic young man. And his name is Misha. I wonder if I should give out his full name. Misha Dacic. Would that be appropriate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, he's on the DVD with you. No problem.
That Misha Dacic comes to me, and we speak sometimes Russian, and he happens to have many other qualities except playing piano. He is good looking, he's charming, he's intelligent, he's lovely. I mean, I have nothing but praise, which is really not
Unusual.
right. Not right. I mean, he will really be very conceited after this. Anyway, but he deserves it. And he says to me, in Russian I think it was, Idechka, did you ever play the Schumann sonata? I said, yes. I dismissed it. How about playing it with me right now? I said, okay. And that was it.
That was the beginning of the journey.
Incredible. All of a sudden, the whole tragedy of that composer like appeared in front of my eyes. I realized with that kind of, how can I describe the Schumann, this particular sonata, if you don't really try to analyze what's going on? Oh, maybe it's a little bit superficial. You know, the few chords, and it's always, you know, moving. I mean, there is no real stopping that emotion. So he starts this ti-da, di-da, di-da, di-da. My God, it is, I came to the realization that it's full of hopeless tragedy, which he was trying to maybe erase or trying to comfort himself somehow. But I came to this realization that it is so tragic. From the first note, even the first chords, the drama of it, and that human being is impregnated with all of that. And I can't even describe how it moves me. Every time I pick up that violin and I try to play it, and it's never enough. That's how I feel about it now.
It's a piece that really, the more you hear it, the more you love it. It's unbelievable. It's very addictive. And all those themes, you know, they stay in your mind.
It's a kind of, I don't know what to call it. I'm not sure that it's love. It's much more profound than that.
Yeah.
It's hypnotic. I'm hypnotized by it. And I can play it 1,000 times and I feel the same emotion. Never changes.
And how do you see the transition from movement to movement? How would you describe the
The
journey?
same way. It continues.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different mood. It's not a different experience. The mood is different, of course, but the actual depth of it doesn't change. Even in the fast passages, I feel the tragedy of it. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe
No.
Maybe it's not real.
No, it's really quite real.
Okay? Then you confirm what I feel.
Yeah.
That this man was saturated with all of that. But he was still trying to compose, to be a composer. He had to put it on paper. But what went on in his spirit and soul, very tragic. That's what I feel. And that's how I try to play it, to present it to the nation.
Why do you think that Schumann is such a difficult composer to get through, you know, to play? A lot of people are really quite afraid of
I'm
Schumann.
not sure that it's difficult. I don't see it that way. I think every composer has his or her difficulties. It's always difficult. But I'm not sure that Schumann, I would say Mozart was more difficult than Schumann. How do you express Mozart? It's an enigma.
Yeah, because it's more simple, it's more difficult.
It's fragile.
It's very
How do you transfer that fragility to the people? And yet, I mean, all his compositions, his symphonies are tragic. Mozart, and everybody thought he was so light and transparent. Wrong. There is the answer.
Then going to the second sonata that you performed in this concert, what can you tell us about the Enescu sonata?
I had the privilege to study with Enescu, of course. Tremendous luck. I would say that I was privileged, except for some other very wonderful conductors, but my greatest learning experience was with the two. One was, of course, Sergiu Celibidache, who, to my eternal surprise, I will never get over it. When I played with Celibidache, sorry to go back,
No, it's fine.
to reverse that, not one time did he ever make a comment about my interpretation. He never said, Ida, why don't you play it this way? Which now I'm more surprised than ever. Everything I did, he accepted and collaborated with me, as if I had been that guru, which is really not true. But he followed.
Yeah.
But he did say one thing to me. When I played with him, and I was about 18, he said, well, that Brahms concerto, which you play so, of course, wonderfully, because he recorded with me. He actually went into a recording studio against all his instincts. He hated to do anything in a recording studio, but he did it with me. And that's what he said to me, which I'll never forget. Ida, when you get to be 40, you'll play it differently.
He said that.
Yeah. And it's truth. That's what it is.
But you should play differently because your life experiences are totally different than your
But
own.
he accepted my
But he
interpretation
accepted.
then.
Incredible.
Never
I wonder what he
really thought.
what he saw. You know, he must have been marveled by you. He must have been totally.
I think he probably
really
liked
taken.
my playing, yes.
Because you play very much the way he preaches. It's the same philosophy. It's the same approach to music. That's why there was a mutual understanding, because you both instinctively you viewed music the same way.
My way was very instinctive. I didn't know what I was doing, and he emphasized it. You play it this way, you don't know what you're doing, but it's probably correct, by instinct. So that's it. I was guided by the music. I mean, actually, maybe that's all we need.
I was just going to talk to you about that. You know, what do you do with a truly gifted musician that follows the instinct? You know, that means that artist has a vision already. You know, doesn't need to be taught by anybody. He just feels the music that way. Maybe that's who you, that's who
but
you
the
were.
composer, the composition indicates it.
Yeah.
This is how we learn. And if we have the gift to grasp it, that's from God. If we have the gift to understand what we are looking at and listening to, is this teachable? Up to a point, maybe?
Well, to the very gifted, the very gifted has a prodigy has a vision, sees those things, you know.
So it's the talent.
And but I still believe that if you have gifted people that are not geniuses, and you have really teachers like you or like Celibidache, you can teach, you can guide that talented person that can become also great artists. Because many times, you know, the prodigies, those kids that have this vision, they get lost because sometimes they need also a little bit of guidance.
Absolutely.
So they can see more.
Absolutely.
And that's why we constantly lose.
Yes.
And then these kids that are, you're amazed when they're 11, 12, 13 years old, when they're 18 and 19.
Yes, yes. So
they're
they
not
are born.
interesting anymore.